Talk us through this injunction. What would it ban you from doing?
Oh, so first of all, pleasure to be here, Patrick. And yeah, I think injunctions are a very little known but very dangerous part of legislation in this country. What they are essentially is it's a way for someone with a lot of money in their pocket to bypass the judicial system, and they can take out essentially what is a private law, which means if you went and broke it, you wouldn't even receive a trial by a jury, you wouldn't be put in front of magistrates, you could go straight to prison. And I just think that is fundamentally incompatible with democracy.
There's a couple of different types of injunctions, though, obviously, aren't there? So there are the things that I am 99.9% of the time absolutely dead against, which is, like you've said there, celebrities normally doing something rather unfortunate in their personal lives and deciding it would be really great if the public didn't see that splashed on the front of the newspapers, and they use their money in order to stop that from getting out there. I don't think that's right, really. I mean, it doesn't happen to most people, does it? So why should they be able to pay that? This injunction, as far as I understand it, would be to stop you guys going within the area of a racecourse and potentially causing some disruption. So that's the kind of injunction we're talking about here, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But, let's even talk about that. Let's say, for example, right after this interview, I run off to Epsom and I run onto the track, potentially committing trespass. What would happen is I'd potentially be arrested and then I'd be charged and put in front of a judge or maybe even a jury. What this would mean is, I could do the exact same thing, but if there is an injunction, I would not even be put before a jury. Right. I would not get my right to a fair trial, which I'm sure you can agree is a cornerstone of democracy.
No, I do understand that. The flip side to this, very clearly, is why should you repeatedly, and this is the aspect of it, it's the repeated nature of it, why should you repeatedly be allowed to break the law in that sense, which trespassing would be? And that's before we've spoken about, I suppose, disrupting the personal enjoyments of people who just enjoy the horse racing.
So, yeah, what this is about, at its heart, is the fact that as long as animals are being used and exploited and we have this broken relationship with them and the natural world, there are going to be people who are willing to put their bodies on the line to prevent that harm.
OK, do you think that some of the people, maybe, who are involved in animal rising are themselves being a little bit exploited? Do you honestly think that every single one of them recognises the long-term repercussions of getting a criminal record, having their face put out there all the time? Because people do make different decisions over the course of their life, right? And one day someone might say, well, I want to go out and get a job or want to go to America or Australia or wherever, and I can't do that because when I was 18 years old, I glued myself to a race post.
So I think what you're raising there is a really, really important question about who we are, who our values are. Are we a nation of animal lovers? Do we value food security, for example? Do we love our families? Would we protect them? Would we protect defenceless animals? And I think those are values that don't really go away.
OK, all right. So, look, again, what would happen in your ideal world? There would presumably be no horse racing, which means that there would be less horses. And so would you be willing for animals to not live in order for them for you guys to feel better about yourselves?
This is not a numbers question, Patrick. It's a moral question.
I did ask a numbers question, to be fair.
It's about, the rights of animals to be living free from our use and exploitation. Absolutely. If we look at, our farming system, globally about 80 billion land animals die each year for that, about 1 billion of those in the UK. And I think it would be wonderful, if, we had wild horses, we had the environments for wild horses, for, other sorts of wild animals, rather than, the absolutely horrific scenes we see in farms.
Is the sad fact about what you're saying, though, is that in that kind of animalistic utopia, it would actually completely disrupt the ecosystems and lead to more animal deaths and extinctions?
Well, you talk about disrupting the ecosystem, it might shock you to find out that about 16% of the UK is used for sheep farm and only 12%
I saw, didn't you guys nick some of the
forested.
king's sheep the other day?
Well, yeah, on Wednesday evening, 3 individuals rescued 3 of the king's sheep.
Where are they now?
City. They are safe with people who care for them.
They're not in a flat in Islington, are
No,
they?
they are absolutely not.
You imagine that poor lamb who's in a field, all of a sudden it's under one of your arms, it's living in a bedsit or a disused warehouse.
It's bold of you to assume I could afford property in London, Patrick.
No, but seriously, come on, where are the king's lambs? This is the answer I want to know.
They are safe with people who know how to care for them, and they are going to live long and happy lives now.
OK, if this injunction is granted and you are not allowed anywhere near Epsom, will you still go?
So what I will say is what I said before, is as long as, horses are used in horse racing or animals are used in animal farming, there are going to be people who are willing to put their bodies on the line to prevent that harm.
And you are personally willing to go to prison for this, are you?
I'm willing to accept the consequences of my actions, yes.